Okay, boys, it's 2-minute drill time. First question. George, where do the Rams go in 2020? Up, down from a year ago? Where are they?
It's hard to see them being worse than last year, but I really think it's dependent on what Sean McVay does. I mean, Jared Goff likes to be able to sit in the pocket and wait. Their offensive line was terrible last year, and they didn't do anything to address it. They got a running back, which clearly is not the way to go. So I am nervous, even though they should regress back up to the mean. Look, Jared Goff's average time to throw dipped by about 0.2 of a second. That's huge. If they can't give him more time, they could go down because the rest of that division could keep going up.
Yeah, I'm afraid the Rams are a declining team, and simply because they have not poured enough assets into its offensive line. 12% of their cap figure goes towards the offensive line, ranked 30th in the National Football League. So clearly, they're not replenishing the players that need to be on that offensive line. And that's what makes this offense go. It makes the run game go. It helps the pass game go. That's why we saw Jared Goff's game decline overall. So when I look at what the other teams are doing in this division, the 49ers continue to ascend. I think Seattle's going to be better. Even Arizona, I think, is going to be more competitive. So I think that all happens to the Rams' demise. I think they're in a declining state.
Even Arizona. Look at you throwing some subtle shade in the back way. Look, I think you both hit on the right thing. It's the offensive line. When Jeff Fisher was the coach and everything was miserable and the whole thing was falling to pieces, they had the 27th ranked offensive line in the NFL. Then it jumped up to 6th for the previous 2 seasons when they were really good and when things were heading in the right direction. And then last year it collapsed completely and it was back down past 30th. It was one of the worst groups in the entire league. And they haven't done much to fix it. They've sort of taken the approach the 49ers did a year ago where they said, we like the players already in the building to bounce back. So, Rob Havenstein rebounding from a really bad year. The young guys developing. The problem is when you take a running back with your first pick, it's just a little bit hard to give you the benefit of the doubt that you're seeing things the right way here.
I will say this, if Sean McVay can get a little quick game involved, that could go a long ways to helping Jared Goff get the ball out of his hand, make use of some of those playmakers. Just give him less to worry about. That would be huge. All right, topic number 2. A couple of quarterbacks who are going to get paid a lot of money at some point. Deshaun Watson, Dak Prescott. Which one, Solly, are you paying more money to?
Well, this one's really hard because when you think about it, Dak Prescott has won, 61% of his games. Deshaun Watson, even though he came in 1 year later, he's won 62% of his games. Both guys are completing right in the mid-60s when it comes to their completion percentage. But I would have to side on the side of Dak Prescott. And the reason why, overall health and the way that he plays the game from the pocket, he's getting the ball out of his hands and into the hands of his playmakers. And he's been healthy for every single game since he's come into the National Football League. You cannot say that for Deshaun Watson, who's missed somewhere around 10 games during his 3 seasons in the National Football League. And we know that availability is reliability. And so I'm going to go with a guy who's not making more plays with his legs, but more plays with his arm, getting the ball to Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, and those guys. So I'm going to go ahead and give the better contract right now to Dak Prescott.
I think when you look at what both players are surrounded by, Deshaun Watson is doing more with less than Dak Prescott is. And I think, their grades are kind of in the same kind of area, but Dak Prescott has that great offensive line in front of him. They've been building receivers around him as well. Amari Cooper, now you get CeeDee Lamb coming on board. They've always had the running game in Zeke Elliott for whatever that's worth. Whereas you look at Houston, that offensive line was miserable when he first arrived. Now they've made steps, but it's still not good. Nuke Hopkins was his only real wideout, and they just traded him away. So I think Watson is being dealt a worse hand, and given that he's playing at the same kind of level, probably deserves more money because of it.
It's interesting. I think of Deshaun Watson as being more consistent, and I know they don't have a huge sample size, but we've seen Dak Prescott ebb and flow with how good that team has been, how good the offensive line has been. And last year he was a top 12 graded guy. The year before he was 20th. When they had a lesser unit around him. Deshaun Watson, man, some of the guys that have been protecting him, as you mentioned, have not been household names. Meanwhile, Dak has had, Tyron Smith, and Lyle Collins, and Zach Martin, all these guys around him. It's very close to me, so I'll let the tiebreaker be the guy that I had a higher prior on, and that's Deshaun Watson. I just believe You know, he's the better player in terms of what he brings to the table, agnostic of everything else. And I'll give you this, if I had the game on the line, I know Deshaun Watson, he might get injured doing it, Sully, you're right, but he'd win me the game, and I can count W's. I'll take that.
I love his ability to bring his team back, right? He does have that sort of flair. He doesn't let his team quit. He's going to always keep you in it. I just want to make sure that he makes it to game time. All right, our final question, because, guys, you know that the safety position is one of the lowest paid positions in the National Football League. And every now and then, there comes a player, he comes along and he's sort of an outlier, right? He does a little bit more than what the position might entail. So I got to ask you the question, what is the right annual salary for Jamal Adams?
It's a really tough one because I don't know that it's that much. I think the league has sort of, depressed the value of safeties over the past few seasons, but I don't know that it's without cause. I don't know that safeties are that impactful a position. And, the franchise tag for safeties is like a little bit over 11 million. If you were giving him 11 million a year for a long-term contract, that would put him a little bit above guys like Harrison Smith or the Vikings. And honestly, that's probably in the right kind of range. Jamal Adams is a little bit of a do-it-all safety, plays, even as a legitimate edge rusher, rushing the passer in the box, out wide at corner, in the slot. He can do everything. I just don't know that he's worth more than that when you can take that money and give it to cornerbacks or legitimate dominant pass rushers on the defensive line.
What if you can give it to CJ Mosley? I mean, here's the thing with the Jets. I have no problem with them paying Jamal Adams, and I'm with you guys. I'd pay him in, that franchise tag level, maybe even a little more, because he has been the most valuable safety using PFF wins above replacement over the past 2 seasons. He's really good. He can cover, he can rush pass, he can do it all. That's great. But you don't know about this team yet, and so I would want to exercise my option a little bit later. I would keep him at what he's paid. The franchise tag, as you mentioned, is low. And you just have to have people that can manage talent and can manage personalities. That's what they really need. So if I'm the Jets, I'm not rushing to the bank right now. Ultimately, I would pay him around 11, 12. The only guy I'm setting the market for is Derwin James. That's the only guy. Everyone else can get in line.
Yeah, there are some safeties. That's an outlier. I think Derwin James is that kind of player. I think we saw when Minkah Fitzpatrick went to the Pittsburgh Steelers last year, totally turned that defense around. I just remember having conversations in production meetings with guys like Peyton Manning and Tom Brady, and they would ask me questions about what the heck is Ed Reed doing? I mean, a safety like that keeps quarterbacks up at night because they can disguise and hide just about anywhere on the field, unlike a cornerback. Jamal Adams is that kind of player. He grades above 80 in just about every single category, as a pass rusher, as a run defender, as a pass cover safety as well. And so I think he's got to be well above what the average salary is on that franchise tag, which is $11 million a year. If you gave him 13 to 14 million with the right team, you will find that he is an impact player just as much as Derwin James is. So I would say pay the man. You don't have to break the bank to do it, but go ahead and pay him.
Sorry, money spoken for. Le'Veon Bell, CJ Mosley, Tremaine Johnson, no room.
Trade him then. Trade him.
You want to get rid of me and get back to more great PFF YouTube content? All you have to do is push that button right there and subscribe. Thanks for watching.